Good morning, everybody.
Wow, that was a...
It is. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Uninformed Fan. Chad is in the house, jumping, ready to go. It's time for a little bit more breakdown today. We got the AFC South and West predictions, fantasy targets. Jeffrey looking thick as usual. Ready to go, my friend?
Yeah. I'm ready to go. I mean, I've been up since 7:30. I actually had a coffee. I don't have a coffee ever. Been running around. Already been disappointed with customer service and hospitality somewhere. And here we are. We're right back at it, ready to go, and let's chop up these divisions. Obviously, we have our big fantasy draft coming up tomorrow. Very exciting. Joe Corvelli already here in Orlando. Entire family arrives tomorrow. So it's going to be good to see them and see the kids and hang out with them a little bit before the draft, and also, we'll see what happens during. So should be good.
I'm pretty excited. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's always. I will tell you this.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Well, that and I have no idea what's going on inside my house right now. It sounds like World War III.
Are there gunshots, or is it just?
Could be. Happening? It could be. I don't know what these sounds are.
Well, you would know if it was gunshots.
Pew 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 pew. Yeah, I'm very, very. Oh, yeah, okay. It's just the landscaper's getting a little too close. I'm very, very excited. I really am. I am slightly nervous.
About what?
how early we're doing the draft. Traditionally in our big league, it's like last minute. So any injuries that might happen in the preseason is usually done. We have a lot more information that's going to happen between those 4 weeks. This year, we're going way early. Now, I would also assume that Mark is probably going to wait to input those players in a little bit later. Because for those of you guys don't know, we also do an in-person draft with stickers.
Yes.
Which I prefer the online. I like everybody getting together. I just like the online version. It's quicker. It's going to be a marathon. You're absolutely right, Jeff. I'm a little nervous. I have a big break scheduled Wednesday night. I'm still a little nervous about what my state is going to be at that time. But first world problems. We'll figure it out. Right?
For sure. I think one of the best things that we do as well too, and it's funny because I still got a chance to see TJ out the other night. And, we started, every time we start talking about fantasy football, and then, you got other people involved and people going back and forth. And it's a great time of year. But one of the funniest things is, TJ calling everybody an idiot for whoever they're drafting, you know what I mean? And what sticker they're placing, and the anticipation of people looking over your shoulder, seeing exactly who you're taking, and then announcing it before the sticker goes up and everybody crossing it off their list. And everybody has an opinion on it as well, too. It's much more fun because you get that aspect of it for guys who have been doing this together for 15 years, whereas opposed to online where you're sitting there and everybody's staring at their thing and then looking at their notes and back and forth. There's no interaction whatsoever. Sleepers and picks and stuff like that kind of fly under the radar when somebody makes a huge reach for somebody, whereas opposed to when you're live, everybody talks shit about it. And so I think it's just one of those fun dynamics that you only get one time a year with all your boys who you've known for, 15, 20 years. And I don't know, man, it's just something about that day is just
and that's one of the biggest things I had with our group chat, and how not everybody that's part of the fun as well, is taking that same energy and spreading it throughout the year. And it's amazing to me that TJ would talk about anybody's pick after the draft that he had last year, and really stood on that bucket and beat that drum. And it was bad.
Also, I do want to say this, and because there was something brought up about how somebody said that to me, and TJ asked this person, Frank, who he thinks the best fantasy football player that he knows is in terms of governor or draft or whatever you want to say. And he said me. And that was a big point of contention because obviously you feel some type of way about it. And then we got into a whole back and forth thing about names on trophies and different things like that and so on and so forth. Buff reached out to ask for the Schneid trophy, which has been incinerated. So that will no longer be a part of anything in my life.
We still have pictures.
Nope. That's done. That's gone.
I still have the picture. Jeff. I still have the picture.
Don't care. I will burn it every single time that I see it. There's no point. I don't need any of that left in my life. My kids are to the point now where
they know what's going on.
Not that they know what's going on, but seeing that.
For those of you who don't know out there in the real world, there's a very compromising picture of young Jeffrey. And we'll just leave it at that. Just a very compromising photo that was taken in great taste back in the day. When you think of like Monet and Picasso and stuff like this, could have been right there with it. But unfortunately, Jeff has a little bit thing in regards to nudity, and so it had to be suppressed. But yeah, it was
nothing shown. Nothing shown.
It was a beautiful form of art. It was like, what's the one where the guy, the human body, where he's got the disc and he's like this. It was something similar to that.
But I am in a baby's crib, which is unfortunate as well too.
And impressive at the same time.
That I was inebriated enough to get in there and decide to fall asleep in that position many, many years ago.
Absolutely. Of course, I am working tomorrow morning. The one day I got scheduled out of 2 weeks.
What time is the draft starting anyway? I'm not even.
7 p.m. is what Mark put out there on the thing. I think everybody's going to try to get there by 6:30. But 7 p.m. is go time. I should be pretty close. I'm going to try to get out of there early. Should be okay.
I'm going to say first picks at 7:30.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. I want to be there for my first pick. I did my first pick last year via text. Not this year. Not this year.
I can tell you that me and Joe's wives and families are meeting up to have dinner somewhere at 6:00, and so me and Joe will be there probably right at 7, maybe a little bit after.
Fine, that's great. Then I won't run around. Well, let's get into it, guys. Welcome back, everybody. Today we're continuing our 2026 breakdown. We got the AFC North and West, which you saw by the beautiful thumbnail that ChatGPT produced. Jeff, quick question: which division do you think is going to be harder to predict this year, the AFC South or the AFC West?
That's a great question. I think they're both. So. I think they're both two of the really toughest divisions to kind of handicap in all of football, because I think that they're both going to be very competitive. I think they're both very well coached. I think if I had to pick one that I think will be more of like, I don't know what's going to happen 100%, but I think I do, it would be the AFC South. Whereas opposed to, I think the person who I have winning the AFC West is going to win the AFC West anyway, no matter what. So.
Okay, well, let's get into it. I think they're both going to be very good, but let's start with the AFC South. Last year, the Jacksonville Jaguars came out of nowhere to surprise everybody with a 13-4 record.
Yep.
Houston, again, we talked about a generational defense, wasted in the playoffs. We'll get into that. Indianapolis was the darling of the division for quite some time.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones just, between him and Puka Nacua, the team named Indiana Jones and the Temple of Puka. That was just a brilliant name. Thank you for that compliment. And then, of course, you have the lowly Tennessee Titans, who had a very, very sneaky rebuild here. Very, very sneaky rebuild. Let's start with those Houston Texans, though. I think they are going to be the favorite, at least out the gate. I don't know. Chad probably has it over here that he could probably tell you.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of divisional winner, the Houston Texans are plus 115 to win the division. Jacksonville Jaguars sitting at plus 225. Indianapolis Colts at plus 375. And the Tennessee Titans sitting at plus 800 to round out.
Yeah. The biggest noise coming out of the Houston is obviously going to be the defense. The defense is still there. It's generational. If anything, they added more pieces to it again this year. They brought back Chase Young, which was originally one of their first round picks. The rich get richer. You talk about the Rams and adding Aaron Darnold. While we don't think Chase Young is at that Aaron Darnold level, very, very impactful, especially when you got all of the bad boys around you. You don't need to be that guy. What did I do? Did I say something wrong? Did I mispronounce
Aaron Donald?
Donald. That's what I said. Aaron Donald.
It just sounded Darnold. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I apologize. But the biggest thing here is CJ Stroud in the playoffs. I mean, they got through everything. Of course, they lost Tank Dell, I believe, was it last year?
Yep.
For the season. So that was a tough blow for him. Looks like he's going to be back. But the biggest question that has to do with the Houston Texans, in my opinion, is just going to be CJ Stroud. Which CJ Stroud are we going to get this year?
Yes and no. I think their defense is so unbelievably good. I think they're really well coached in D'Amico Ryans. Obviously, I think they made a great move and bringing in a guy like David Montgomery to be able to be a lead back this year and finally have that number 1 overall title where it looks like he's going to finally get pretty much all the touches. I know Woody Marks will probably be involved, but it's just, David Montgomery, he's been ever since obviously being in Chicago, and that was a kind of a messy situation. He had some great moments, and then all of a sudden he goes to the divisional rival in the Lions, and he's great with the Lions, right? He's that 1-2 punch that you really want with the Lady and Thunder. So I'm excited for him to kind of get a lot of his own work as well too, and get in there. And yeah, I think if you're going to hold a gun to my head and say pick a division winner here, to me, it's definitely the Houston Texans. Last year, I was on the Indianapolis Colts. I thought that they were really well coached in Shane Steichen. I thought that they had a chance to do something, especially with the weapons that they had on offense with Jonathan Taylor, with a great offensive line and an underrated defense, I thought as well too. Obviously, a lot of it collapsed there at the very end. Daniel Jones gets hurt. I would have loved to have just seen Riley Leonard, instead of going back and trying to make magic happen with Phillip Rivers. It just seemed like it was not an ideal situation. And so I thought some of the roster construction and management there at the end of the year was a little weird to me. When it comes to Jacksonville, I don't really know. This is going to be the first time that we've seen Liam Cohen anywhere in back-to-back years since, God, I must have been, in my early 20s, because the guy is just a snake who jumps from team to team whenever he can. But no animosity there, boys and girls. No animosity there. You look at what they've done. I have questions about their backfield. in terms of fantasy targets, if you're talking about a guy like, a Bilal Tootin, who looks like he's supposed to be the lead back, but now Chris Rodriguez might be getting most of the goal line work. And so how does that timeshare work? Trevor Lawrence, I've believed in you your entire career. I've called you a generational talent. I've been one of the riders for you forever. Is this finally the year that you turn it on and break out? You did it a little bit at the end of last year. Obviously, adding Jacoby Myers, what I thought was huge. Now you can do that with Parker Washington and Brian Thomas Jr. I think they have a chance to be really good. What is their defense going to be like? I love the Newsome move that they made last year from the Browns to shore up that secondary. I still have so many questions about the Jaguars that I just don't know. And to me, it makes me brings a lot of trepidation when it comes to trying to handicap something and pick it. So I kind of know what the Indianapolis Colts are going to be, which is, I think, going to be pretty middling, but, usually punch above their weight class and a lot of times. And I think the Tennessee Titans are going to be a lot better as well, too. I think you bring in guys who are organizational pieces in terms of bringing in a Brian Daboll, being able to get Cam Ward, hopefully to that next level. I tell you what, watching quarterback, I fell in love with Cam Ward. I fell in love with his attitude, the way that he is, the way that he carries himself, the way that he presents himself. I thought he's fantastic. The fact that he went from not being recruited at all to going to JUCO, to then going to Washington State, to then Miami. I just thought the entire thing was it's really storybook, and then going number 1 overall. But he can make all the throws. Now you had a Carnell Tate in there, one of the guys from Ohio State who was amazing. And that's going to go along with your Eric Iomanor. And, Tony Pollard has a chance to have another good year like he had last year as well, too. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a fun division. What are your thoughts?
I agree with a lot of what you said there. Let's not forget about the impact Jacoby Myers had on the Jacksonville Jaguars last year. Once he got on there, the one thing about Cam Ward is he was the number 1 overall pick, and I'm not going to take that away from him, but in any other draft class, probably not.
I don't know.
Probably not. I do know.
TJ says typical Hurricane legendary quarterback. I can't think of one Hurricane legendary quarterback. Are we going back to Bernie Kosar? Is that like Anyway.
Well, Hurricane fans are kind of like Cowboys fans, right? You got to pop out the VHS tapes to see the highlight reels. Thankful for Devin Hester, but at the end of the day, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence finally came into his own. Maybe he was coaching the whole time. We talked about this numerous times. I've been a big proponent of standing up and beating on that drum about the quarterback development issue in the NFL. And of course, now all the big ESPN heads are starting to join in. Thanks for coming in.
Copy
now.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you got to scan the internet for the best content. And of course, here's where you fell. I think that offense is going to be one of the more prolific offenses in the NFL. To your point, the running backs, you lost Travis Etienne Jr. But at the end of the day, to your point, I think that they have 2, if not 3 backs that can solidify that. Brendan Strange is going to have another good year. I think, obviously if he can stay healthy, that's going to be his biggest issue. Parker Washington, is he still there? Or did they trade him?
He's still there.
Let me just bring this up real quick so I can make sure I don't become too uninformed here.
Yeah, I mean,
Brian
Thomas Jr. is on there as well too. And like I said, Jacoby Myers, I thought was a sneaky, really good pickup that they made. That he has as a weapon.
Abdullah, that's who I was thinking of. Amir Abdullah is actually looking pretty good in the preseason as well in the camps.
Okay,
what
Amir
it helps. It just helps to have healthy backs.
Guy's been around for.
Of course.
Amir Abdullah Oblongata is just
Abdullah Oblongata
gonna stick in my head forever.
The Colts, to me, I think that there's no expectations for the Tennessee Titans. I'm just gonna put that out there. I know that we have a new coach, Robert Saleh. I know that we got Daboll coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of talent there, but there are no expectations for them. For the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think it's gonna be Parker Washington or Jacoby Myers. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is good. I mean, but when you look at that wide receiver room, that's a pretty stacked wide receiver room. If I'm not,
100%.
Brian Thomas Jr., Parker Washington, and Jacoby Myers, which Jacoby Myers came over from the Raiders last year, had an immediate impact, vaulted that offense up, stretched the field. I think that to the point, I don't know if there's going to be kind of like the Bears. I don't know if there's going to be a leading wide receiver. I don't know if there's going to be a true number 1. There's a lot of different things that go on. And then, of course, you guard all 3 of those, and you got the big boy Brendan Strange going down the middle. I think it's going to be an exciting offense there. I really do.
TJ, here's the real question. How many, or if any, go over 1,000 yards this year? I think that for me, if I'm going to take one of them to go over 1,000 yards, it's definitely one of the two, Parker Washington or Jacoby Myers, and I'm going to lean Jacoby Myers just because I've always been in love with his skill set and his game and the way that he plays. Parker Washington, I think, was great. I think he had a lot of splash plays last year. And so I'm going to lean toward the volume that I think Jacoby Myers is going to be able to get and produce.
The only reason why I would say Parker Washington opposed to that, I think this is going to be the first time Jacoby Myers is going to be a true number one and get true number one coverage. So maybe. Therefore, I mean, because you think about in Vegas, I mean, okay, he was the only one in Vegas, one there. Though. He was technically the number one, but did they even have a passing game? No. You know.
Zero. I don't mind zero. Yeah, I think that's a pretty fine take. And like you said, you also have Travis Hunter, who's going to go in there and try to.
I thought he was playing the majority, like 90 to 95% defense this year.
I'm sure he will, but I think when you talk about explosive plays that you're going to get per game, right, and how many of those are really going to. Parker Washington had a lot of them last year, right? Yeah. Like when they needed explosive plays, he was that guy who got it for him. If you're going to add in taking away like maybe those 5 chances a game that you're going to get, and all of a sudden Travis Hunter is going to take 2 of them, I think that is a little bit of something that factors in as well if you're looking at strictly fantasy purposes.
And like I was talking about before, the Tennessee Titans are kind of the sneaky one here because there's zero expectations for them. They're expecting a turnaround, and of course, they're going to want to show some improvement, but is the expectations there? I can't help but notice the sexy QB2 on that roster, though, Jeff. Can't help but notice old Mitchell Trubisky sitting there at quarterback, too. I guarantee he's going to get some burn this year. I guarantee it. Will Levis at third. So, you got Carnell Tate, Wan'Dale Robinson, Calvin Ridley, another good wide receiver room. To your part, Eric, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name because Jeff will get mad. Yeah, he'll get mad at me. But I mean, at the tight end position, didn't they draft the kid that he got hurt for the tight end? No, that was the Jets.
Which team?
That was the Jets. I apologize. We're talking about the Tennessee Titans here, Jeffrey. We're talking about Gunnar Helm is their tight end. Don't know much about him. But again, nothing really there. I think the biggest question mark in this entire division is going to be Indianapolis Colts. Can they repeat with the success that they had with Daniel Jones? I don't know. I don't think so. But, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I don't know. I think that's the biggest question mark there. At least for me, the Texans are the Texans. They're going to be there for their defense. As long as CJ Stroud doesn't turn into playoff CJ Stroud through the entire year, the Houston Texans are going to be there. And I will come out on record and say this. I will be targeting once again the Houston Texans defense right off the rip. I love the division. I love their
round
schedule.
Are you thinking? Are you thinking 8th round this year, 9th round? Where are you going to?
I'm thinking wherever I need to take him. To Chad's point here, Houston has the 26th easiest strength of schedule. And you put that defense on top of it, that is going to be an absolute monster.
Here is what I feel. And I understand that I love Chad's formula. I think it's the only way you should do it is based off of Vegas projections and win totals and stuff like that. However, it also just always to me is the same thing as preseason college rankings. It's like we put a lot of weight into this. Now, it's very different because obviously college, everything goes by rankings, where in the NFL, we're going to let it play out the entire time. But I also don't want to base my entire strategy that I go around based off of what the potential is or what somebody thinks somebody's over. Or
let me tell you this, Jeff. If the Houston Texans had the toughest strength of schedule, I would still pick them.
Yeah,
that
100%.
Defense is that good. And then you put Chase
agree.
Young on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me some of that, baby. Give me some of that. I do like to your point. I know we're kind of bouncing all around here today. I apologize. I do, to your point, love David Montgomery for the Houston Texans. I've been big on him since his time at the Bears. I didn't like him going to the Lions at all. I thought that he could have been the exact same thing. And obviously, if Ben Johnson could go back in time, he could tell Ryan Poles, don't get rid of him. I'm coming there. And I think he would have never left. I think that he is going to have a big year. Not really sure exactly what happened with my boy out of Florida. Can't remember his name. That's how irrelevant he is now. But David Montgomery, Woody Marks is going to be a great two-headed monster. And I think David Montgomery is going to get a big workload out of Houston. He will be one of the mid-round running backs that I will be targeting, along with DeAndre Swift and a few others. But I think he's going to have a great year. To your point, Jeff, this is the first time outside of Chicago that he is going to be the true featured number one back. And I think he has something to prove. Probably, isn't he on a contract year? It's got to be either this year or next year.
Who?
David Montgomery.
I believe he just got signed to a contract this year.
We're perfect.
I don't believe he's in a contract here. No, Chad, I love this take. I think I factor rest and prep more than most. I also grade coaching staffs, new staffs, like the small ground downgrade to their players as they usually take time to learn new systems. I completely agree with that as well too. And I love it. Just for me, it's sometimes I think we get so caught up in like these preseason things and off-season hype and so on and so forth and narratives that it's like I want to see real data, and then make some adjustments in season as well too. But I actually agree with every single one of your assessments. I like Jacksonville under 9.5 here. Indy, I think, is going to be really, really close. So I like it, the under for 1 unit. I don't mind at all. And then Tennessee, like I said, I do like the overs as well too. Really nice.
I'm not sure about that one, but let's talk a little bit of fantasy real quick out of this division before we get going, Jeff. Let's start with the Houston Texans. I already said that I will be targeting David Montgomery if he comes through my lap, as long as the ADP makes sense. Any wide receivers? Do we trust Nico Collins to come back and have a good year?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Go ahead. I was going to say yes and no, right? Like Nico's ADP is really high. Do I want Nico in the first round? No. If I can catch him back in the late second, yes, but that's probably never going to happen. I think there's other guys in here. You talk about a Higgins. You talk about a guy like Tank Dell coming back as well too. And then, at tight end, you still have Dalton Schultz as well, who's always going to be able to factor in. It's just what kind of system are they going to play? Are they going to pound it and not try to make CJ Stroud beat them because they know their defense is going to be so good and they're able to kind of freeze teams? Or are they just going to, be able to, and then will that set up play action? And Tank Dell was one of CJ Stroud's favorite targets when he was there and he was healthy. Now I understand he's been through getting shot and getting hurt and different things like that. And so it's been a while since we've seen it. But if you're talking about a value pick to me and a guy who can absolutely go out there and get it, I do love Tank Dell as well this year.
Let's talk a little bit about the Indianapolis Colts. We talked about Daniel Jones. Can he repeat? Very, very interesting to see AR-15 as the second quarterback on that depth chart, especially after what we saw to Riley Leonard last year. Before we move on to fantasy targets here, Jeff, real quick with that quarterback situation, especially with the request of the trade, so forth and so on, are you surprised to see AR sitting at QB2?
No, I mean, I think he's either QB2 or he's released. I don't think there's like an in-between really.
Riley Leonard's sitting QB3.
Yeah, but if you put him at QB3, then his confidence is like we talked about this last year. Like once they pulled AR that year, like that was pretty much it. Like there was no really like turning back. You've now just shot the kid's confidence. You saw him look shaky in the first preseason game already.
Didn't get a chance to watch it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't.
It's the first time playing ball in a while, though. Again, you just can't stay healthy either. Like we talked about it, his prospect was through the roof. The talent was there, but was it going to be able to correlate it through? We'll see. We talk about Daniel Jones, and we're both kind of on the fence here. That's going to be one of the ones we're just going to have to wait and see. I think he's going to go undrafted. Maybe late rounds as a double quarterback stash or somebody that's really reaching as like Buff likes to do at the later rounds. But the bigger question I have, Jeff, is we got a lot of fantasy production out of this Indianapolis Colts last team. Jonathan Taylor was off the charts. Alec Pierce jumped out. Josh Downs not so much, but of course we can't go without talking about Tyler Warren as well, Jeff. Tyler Warren's going to be one of the top picks out of this offense, regardless.
For sure.
I think we could both agree with that. Where Jonathan Taylor's going, his ADP is obviously like around 6th, 7th. Do you feel like that's still going to be a good play or good pick at that level? Is he going to be able to repeat some of the stuff that we've seen over the past year?
I mean, if you're going to tell me that there's a guy that you can get at, 7 or 8, and, you're talking about a guy like Jonathan Taylor who could be RB1 overall, I don't mind the take at all. The question will be is how do defenses play this, right? Jonathan Taylor was really good last year because Daniel Jones was able to open it up. Alec Pierce, I believe, is going to start the season hurt. Yes. He's an interesting guy who I like to target and stash because I think once he comes back, that offense is just going to be able to spread open. Shane Steichen. So obviously, I think Warren will be a great play to start the year. And then maybe if you draft a second tight end as a flyer behind Warren, you can use Warren as trade bait or something like that. I think that's an interesting strategy. When it comes to JT, absolutely, all day long. The one issue that I have with JT, and this is what I had last year, is who's the handcuff? I couldn't ever really figure it out. And, thank God he was pretty much healthy the entire year, but it also took up a roster spot the entire year because I didn't want to be able to lose. I wanted somebody to be able to step right in. And so it's tough for me with those situations like that, where there's not a clear number two, that if your guy gets hurt, this guy's going to get all the work. And so that's my only,
to your point,
guess,
Jonathan Taylor
hesitation.
going RB4 and Tyler Warren going tight end 3. And to culminate everything that we just talked about with the Indianapolis Colts, when Daniel Jones went out, all the production went away from everybody. And I will also tell you, as an owner of, or governor, whatever the hell you want to talk about,
thank you.
I own that man on my fantasy team.
We don't do auction drafts here.
No salary caps either. I will tell you, somebody that owned Alec Alec Pierce the entire year. It was absolutely feast or famine.
Yes.
You could have him one day and he just goes off for like 40 points and then the next one is 2. So keep that in mind when looking at those players. Now, we talked about Jacksonville a little bit already, Jeff. I think that especially where the ADP, where Trevor Lawrence is going, I think he's an absolute stash. Again, I think Jacoby Myers and Brendan Strange, both of those guys could have some upside, especially where Brendan Strange is being drafted. Now, again, he has been very, very hurt. He is going overall as tight end 18, but he hasn't made it through a full season, I don't believe, in the last 2 to 3 years, a full season without being hurt. That's going to hurt him in there. Anybody outside of Jacoby Myers or Trevor Lawrence that you might be a little sneaky pick there, Jeff?
Chris Rodriguez Jr. I think from what I've heard in training camp, he's looked really good. He's been getting a lot of the goal line work, which is upsetting if you're somebody who's going to be targeting Bilal Tootin. But I think he's got a chance to be able to take it over. I loved what I saw from him when he was in Washington the past couple of years. When he got a chance, he always performed. This is a great opportunity. There's one thing I know about Liam Cohen, and everywhere that he's been, and I give him a hard time because he hasn't been in a lot of places in back-to-back years, but he will use 2 running backs in and out of the game most of the time. There's not one guy who's just going to be able to get fed the rock over and over and over again. And so if you're looking for a guy in the later rounds, I like Chris Rodriguez Jr. for sure.
It sucks to be a fantasy owner of one of those situations, but from a team perspective, that's exactly what you want.
Absolutely.
You want to keep those legs fresh.
Yep.
Anybody that we're targeting at all on the Tennessee Titans, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, Carnell Tate for sure. I really like Carnell Tate. I thought that there was a good rapport between Cam Ward and Eric Almanor as well too, who was really good at Stanford in his college days and is now obviously turned into a serviceable wide receiver. I had him on my team last year for a lot of the year and played him in some different streaming situations. And he's a guy who seems to be able to find his nose for the end zone. And those are always guys that you like to have. But I think Carnell Tate is a guy that I'm definitely targeting.
Absolutely. And, don't forget about DK. I had a lot of good performances. He'll probably go undrafted as well. Might be one of the guys at the late ends to take a flyer.
For sure.
Quentin Johnson last year, obviously, who's not going to be a flyer this year. But one of those deep he's absolutely getting drafted this year. 100%.
Oh, okay. I was like, okay. Also,
I had two guys at the very end. I could have drafted Quentin or somebody else, and of course, I went with the other guy. And Fitzy took Quentin Junkins as his last pick last year, and of course, everything else. Probably.
Were you going to say Quishon Judkins?
I don't know.
Is that who? Okay.
I don't know. It's all mushy here. It's all mushy up there, Jeff. Let me live.
I will say, you mentioned Brenton Strange. We mentioned somebody like a Tyler Warren who you think might be able to pop to start the year. And even more with no Michael Pittman Jr. now being there as well. Those targets got to go to somewhere. And so there's a guy like that. And in terms of Tyler Warren that's there with the Colts. And like I said, if you want to draft somebody to use Tyler Warren as trade bait, I don't mind stashing a guy like Brenton Strange. Let's say he starts off really hot. All of a sudden now you got 2 really good tight ends. You can package that into something else for you down the road.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with drafting 2 tight ends. Gigantor actually snaked that sneaky snake last year. Tyler Warren from underneath me, as me and I was talking to the 3-time about my plan. He probably leaked it anyway. Let's get over to one of the tougher divisions in the NFL this year, the AFC West, Jeffrey. Let's start a little bit overall, 10,000-foot level. The Denver Broncos took the division 14-3, Chargers 11-6. Chiefs, obviously a down year, but without Patrick Mahomes, they solidified that this year by signing up Justin Fields, who had a great preseason game, by the way. And, of course, the Las Vegas Raiders are going to Raider themselves. You can laugh all you want, brother. The man was 4 for 4.
Oh, man.
I can't wait. Woo! Man. Woo! Well, let's start off with the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs right off the bat. Patrick Mahomes is back, and as Patrick Mahomes is, the Kansas City Chiefs go. Adding Kenneth Walker III, they finally have a legit number one running back. Travis Kelce coming back after his wedding feast. Jeff, what are the expectations of the Kansas City Chiefs this year?
Well, I mean, if you're the Chiefs fans, you're going to expect to get to the Super Bowl and win it. I think that's just the moniker that they carry out there when it comes to the expectations in Kansas City. That's what it is. It's, replacement.
It's a good problem to have.
I mean, it's just that's the way it goes. So if we're looking at the actual division itself for the AFC West, you have the Kansas City Chiefs at plus 170 to win. You have the Los Angeles Chargers at plus 185, the Denver Broncos at plus 210, and the Las Vegas Raiders at plus 2,000.
Well, I think if you're going to put a bet on that, again, I don't really do divisional bets but I mean, I think for the price, the Denver Broncos at plus 210 or whatever you said it was, anything plus 200, that defense is going to be great once again. The biggest question is going to be offense. Obviously brought in some more players this year. Give me the Broncos at plus 210. Do I think that they're going to win? I don't know. I think that whole division could be a toss-up, Jeff, besides the Raiders.
Mm-hmm. So kind of like Chad was saying, coming into the year, I've been focused on the Los Angeles Chargers, and I understand that what Chad is going on right now about the way that it sets up, and I agree with all those sentiments and statements. I understand that it is going to be a tough road ahead for them, but I think that they have the best coaching staff in this division. I think that between John Harbaugh and Mike McDaniel together and the things that they're going to be able to do, I think the sky's the limit for this team. I think Justin Herbert will finally be able to get there. So for me, give me the Los Angeles Chargers to win this division.
I think it's a fair assessment. But I'm Eddie Faster there. And, obviously, they finally have a good running back there. I think when we talk about the Chargers and we look at Justin Herbert, it's something that we've just been asking for years. As people in the sports cars have been investing in him for years. We know that the talent there, but it's just never translated through an entire season. To your point, bringing in Mike McDaniel could be the best thing that happened to him. Just the same as bringing Lee and Cohen could have been the best thing that happened to Trevor Lawrence. You bring a completely offensive mastermind. You do have John Harbaugh there as well, who is a great quarterback whisperer, was a quarterback in the NFL for the Chicago Bears. I think it's going to be an absolutely great year. But my only concern is, Jeffrey, here we go again. We talked about how the Tennessee Titans didn't necessarily have any expectations. There are expectations for this Chargers team this year. There is pressure on this Chargers teams to win. Just like you said, just like over here, a lot of people are picking them to win the division and to get to the AFC Championship game. That comes with pressure. Justin Herbert has not had that kind of pressure in his entire career yet. There's been no expectations of going to a championship or a Super Bowl yet. We've all thought that the talent was there, but that pressure hasn't been there. With the roster that we're looking at here, Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnson, Trey Harris is the number 3. We saw Quentin Johnson have a good year last year, right? It was an unexpected year. Is he going to be able to recreate that? Ladd McConkey had a little bit of a down year last year. Is he going to come back up? I do think Mike McDaniels will scheme some good stuff to get some receivers open, but I don't know. With all of the talent that Justin Herbert has, Omari and Hampton in the backfield, another great one there. Do they have the wide receiver room to pull it off?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, that's just because you like to DR McConkey. And I'm assuming you're about to go into it right here. Let's hear it.
I love Ladd McConkey. I think he's perfect for a Mike McDaniel system. I think the one thing that people don't like, people think about Mike McDaniel, they think that it's just like air it out everywhere and throw it all over the yard. It's not. It's all predicated and set up by the run. And you saw the Chargers last year. They were a great football team until they got decimated by injuries on the offensive line. Then things started to take a little bit of a downturn. They're finally healthy this year. I think one thing that I heard Harbaugh and McDaniel both talk about was depth. And I think depth is a very important piece as well here too. I think even depth in the running back room. We talk about Amari and Hampton, right? And a guy who a lot of people love and think he's going to be really good. I think he's going to be good. I'm probably at his ADP. I'm not going for him there. But if I ever do, I'll tell you the person that I'm drafting a couple rounds right after is Keaton Mitchell. Because I think Keaton Mitchell coming into that role right there, if he gets the chance, he's going to absolutely pop. I love him as like one of those like kind of deeper sleepers and backups that have a huge high upside. And so I just think, I like their roster. I love their defense. I think that now that you have aces in places and people that are going to be focused on the exact right things, like I said, I think the sky's the limit for the LA Chargers this year.
I like it. I like that running back room. Amari Hampton, Keaton Mitchell. Let's not forget Kamani Vidal.
Yeah,
who is no slub either.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to your point, what we talked about, some of these offenses and the way that they would like to run the room to keep the fresh legs, you got three right there. I think it's going to be a very good. Again, my question is the wide receiver. Ladd McConkey is the slot guy, the runaround guy, the Wes Walker type. And you're basically counting on Quentin Junkins for your red zone targets and your deep ball threats, your jump ball threats. I don't know, bro.
Don't sleep on Trey Harris either. And I think it's super funny too. Like I was watching this clip of Mike McDaniel and he was watching Justin Herbert. Like he did like a play action and just like, like Elsa let it go. And man, he turned and he goes, what the fuck? His reaction was one of like, who is this mutant right now that I have that's out here? Also, shout out Justin Herbert, recently engaged with Madison Beer. Love it for him, bro.
You said that on the last pod too, dude. I get it. I get it. Let's not also sleep on the tight end room here, guys. Aronde Gaddison and David Njoku, both very, very serviceable tight ends.
Absolutely.
I would lean more towards them than I would put on the wide receivers. Let me actually just double check real quick. Where is Quentin Johnson going?
One hand is going to watch the other when it comes to this offense. And I think it's just going to be a beautiful fluidity. I don't know.
Ladd McConkey and wide receiver 20 overall. I don't know, man. I don't know about that.
I love it.
I don't know. I think that's awfully high.
I don't.
Well, that's because you don't win fantasy football. Quentin Johnson.
Right.
At wide receiver 39. So, we're going to get into some other things here. Mm-hmm. But, sandwiched between Quentin Johnson is Chris Godwin Jr. and Alec Pierce. So, again, if you're talking about straight upside, can Quentin Johnson capture what he did last year? That's the biggest question. To me, Chris Godwin Jr. would be the better of the pick there, in my opinion. I know you're a Bucks boy. I know. I think that Chris Godwin Jr. and Baker Mayfield are going to go off. If you can stack those two this year, absolutely go for it. I don't know. I just feel like, Okay. Well, actually, this also, Jeff, Jacoby Myers is wide receiver 45. So do you really think Quentin Johnson's 6 positions higher?
Then, I'm sorry. Say that again.
The Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, I think it's probably right around there. They're being drafted in the same round pretty much. So, I mean, it kind of is what it is. You're splitting hairs here.
I am splitting hairs, Jeff, because I got to hang on to something, okay? I got to hang on to something. All right, let's move on to the
to go back to your point, just to piggyback off that, I would absolutely take Quentin Johnson ahead of Alec Pierce or Chris Godwin Jr., knowing that Alec Pierce is going to be hurt to start the year. Also, knowing that Chris Godwin Jr. has not had a fully healthy year in quite a while now. And plus, I don't even know if Chris Godwin Jr., when you add Emeka Egbuka, Jalen McMillian.
Oh, finally! Jeff screws up a name. Book it in there. Book it in there. Thank you.
Jalen McMillan. And also they have another kid that they drafted who is incredible in camp named Ted Hurst. And I think he's got a chance to come into his own as well, too. I believe Godwin is up in a contract year as well.
Indeed.
I think so. So I just,
how those contract years so is Baker. So is Baker. That's why I feel like they're going to get together. They're going to bro hug. For those of you that don't know, especially
as a Bucks fan,
Pastor, I was going to say Jeff is a diehard Bucks fan. So,
yes.
A lot of this is coming from some internal turmoil and some deep regret and, lost whatever you want to call it.
I don't have any deep regret or turmoil.
Let's
whatsoever.
talk a little bit about those Denver Broncos, Jeffrey.
My chi is great.
Your chi is something, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, this is like the Denver Broncos are always a team who I'm not a Sean Payton guy. I never have been. I think he's a good coach. I just think he's an absolute asshole. So
here comes the bias.
Sometimes there's a little bit of bias in this. I think Denver's defense is absolutely ridiculous. I think making the move to go get Jalen Waddle was really good as well too. I think that this is all going to be on Bo Nix. And
100%.
My thing about the Broncos, and I kept on saying it last year, they cannot keep getting away with it. The amount of close games that they won in ridiculous fashion in games that they had no business in winning was remarkable. And I don't think it's repeatable personally. The other thing that I worry about too is Bo Nix coming off this injury, right? So many of those were unscripted plays where he was running around outside the pocket, plays where he was making plays with his feet, with his legs, still being able to keep his eyes downfield and hitting really good throws. I don't know if that is repeatable again, especially coming off this injury. So personally, I need to see it first. I need to see the way he moves. I need to see the way that his feet are in the pocket, in a clean pocket. Does he have happy feet? Does he see pressure that's not actually really pressure? Is he able to stay calm? All these things I need to see before I'm going to co-sign anything to the Denver Broncos. That defense is still going to be right up there with the Houston Texans and teams like that. They're going to be absolutely incredible. That being said, I'd like to see what happens with this running back room as well. Is it J.K. Dobbins? Is it going to be R.J. Harvey? How is that going to shake out? It's something I don't know if I want to touch at all if we're talking about fantasy targets. Courtland Sutton, I think, is still going to be able to get his like he has been.
I am a little nervous about Courtland Sutton's share with the addition of Jalen Waddle.
He's a little
Troy Franklin, who's going to be your street guy, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
and Waddle could take that over as well too. Who knows what Sean has in his bag ready to draw up? He is a good play caller. I just think he's an asshole.
Yes, let's not get too personal. As it says right in the title, our feelings do not care about your facts. I agree with this 100%. I think the Denver Broncos go as Bo Nix goes. The man broke his ankle celebrating. You can say whatever you want. The man broke his ankle celebrating. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like they have the weapons. You got Courtland Sutton, Jalen Waddle, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims Jr., Pat Bryant, and Lil Jordan Humphrey.
Don't forget about Lil Jordan.
Little Jordan Humphrey. I think that Evan Ingram, I don't know not about this Adam Troutman.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know a little bit enough about him, but I do believe they have the weapon. I do believe they have the weapons. But to Chad's point, we've talked about this so many times. We've seen it with the Minnesota Vikings. We're about to talk about it with the Bears coming up. All of these one-score games, these games that can go back and forth. When a team wins 6 or 7 of them in 1 year, the odds of them repeating that are slim to none for the second year. So again, when we're looking at win totals, things of that nature, these are things that get factored in. I just don't think that they're going to do that. To your point, I could care less about the Denver Broncos, to be perfectly honest with you. I think it's an irrelevant team outside of the state of Colorado. It is what it is. I really don't. I just don't feel like they have the moxie with the public.
You know what's interesting is that when we talk about one-win games, right, and stuff like that, I think there's two different ways you can look at it, right? You can say either you got really lucky and won those one-win games, or you had elite end-of-game clock management, and that's why you're able to win those games. So it's tough because obviously
80-20.
There's luck involved, and there's all kinds of different stuff like that as well too. You look at Tampa Bay last year, right? They started off so hot, they won a bunch of close games, and then eventually things caught up to them at the very end, and they lost all those close games. So there's going to be a regression back to the mean at some point. And is Sean Payton just that elite at coaching end of game situations, or did they just get lucky? I err on the side that I think they just got a little bit lucky last year, and this is not repeatable that they can do again.
I can't wait to hear your Bears take on the NFC North coming up. Whew, it's going to get crazy. Well, let's talk a little bit real quick as we wrap up today. The Las Vegas Raiders. Lots of changes going on. Kirk Cousins, Fernando Mendoza, Ashton Jitney on there as well. Mike Washington Jr. is the backup here. Trey Tucker, Jalen Naylor, and Malik Benson are your wide receivers. I mean, let's just talk about this from a fantasy perspective, because I don't think that we really expect the Las Vegas Raiders to do much. 4.5 win totals. Is that what it's set at?
No. So, and Chad, I'm glad that you said this, because it actually, I was curious when I saw you put Denver over 9.5, at minus 125, 2 units, and the division plus 215, Super Bowl plus 2,000. I was curious, because to me, Denver's a fade this year. And this is exactly what you're saying as well, is that Vegas has their win total 4.5 games under what it was last year. And so I agree. If it looks like shit and smells like shit, it's probably shit. He says, I like getting caught in the trap. We're not going to get into BDSM comments here. All right. Like whatever floats your boat is absolutely
sneaky.
No, but I don't disagree either with I'm Eddie, I'm faster. They have the defense to make it repeatable. Then they added weapons, including Jonah Coleman. Listen, sure. I do like the Jalen Waddle pickup.
Are we back on the Broncos?
But no, I was just finishing that thought real quick.
Oh,
because Chad put that out there. So
okay.
But the Raiders, we are under the Raiders.
Let's talk about the Raiders, Maestro.
The Raiders.
Win total sitting at 5.5.
Yes.
I don't think that they get that. I don't know what Chad had, but I'm going under the 5.5 here. I don't think that they get that. When I'm looking at this roster, I mean, give me a break. I mean, so let's just talk about this from a fantasy perspective, because we do have to wrap it up here in a few minutes. Are we targeting anybody outside of Ashton Jentney and Brock Bowers? I think that's all we need to know. No,
I think you absolutely should.
Outside of those two,
this is like
Trey Tucker.
You know what this reminds me? This is
Jack Beats.
Yeah, no, I mean Jalen Naylor, who just got signed to a contract in the offseason. Listen, somebody's going to catch the ball, right? One thing I know about
the same thing about Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams
is that Kirk Cousins is going to let that thing fly, right?
Well, how many games is Kirk Cousins going to play?
I have the over-under at 5, but that's not to say that he could do well. Who knows? Who really knows? Yes,
well,
I love.
I'll tell you who knows. That is the offensive line.
I love Michael Mayer. Obviously, they improved the O-line. They went out and got Lindenbaum or whatever from the Ravens. That they got, and it was a huge pickup. Guy's going to be a
Jackson
Hall of Famer.
Powers Johnson.
Listen, they made the correct moves that they should make to be able to get back to relevancy again. I just think this division is going to be too tough on them. I think all the defense in this division are better than what they have. And Brock Bowers will be a top 2 fantasy tight end this year. I will say that.
Let me predicate this as well, guys. I do believe that was Jeff's 2nd round pick last year.
Third
round pick last year. So obviously Jeff is a little biased here. He does love him some Brock Bowers.
Yeah, I think he's incredible. And I think the sky is the limit as well too. So Jentty, I always liked Ashton Jentty, and I thought that he deserved the Heisman over Travis Hunter that year. But I need to see like the blow me away, breakaway, like stiff arm or shed tackle or something that makes me want to believe a little bit more. Because what I saw last year was just very plotting. It seemed like
it's kind of hard to do those things, Jeff, when you're getting hit 2 yards in the
I don't disagree with that, Tyson. I don't. And I would love to see it. I'd love to see him try to get to that second level and break some things and make some things happen. What's his ADP right now? Ashton Jentty?
I think that you're gonna see that this year. I think you're gonna start to see it. His ADP is RB6, 10th overall. I don't mind that. Again, it's just my biggest questions. I just feel like if I got James Cook in front of him, Devon Achane behind him, Chase Brown behind him, Hampton behind him. Again, I'll do this again, and I know I'll take flack. I'm still taking Derrick Henry over Ashton Jentty again this year.
He is the king for a reason.
I just don't see. Until your point, until I see it. I mean, what are we doing? We're just guessing.
Yeah, guessing. So I'll say this: like out of those guys, I would prefer James Cook. Obviously, I would prefer Chase Brown, I think, as well too, over Ashton Genty. Who was the third one? You said somebody else.
Omarion Hampton.
I would prefer Ashton Genty over Omarion Hampton.
I mean, hell, you can even go Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Walker. I'm still taking them all.
I'm good on either of those other two. Maybe Saquon, Kenneth Walker. I don't know.
I think he's going to have a great year. I mean, let me also preface that. I think he's going to have a great year, depending on Patrick Mahomes and Patrick Mahomes' mobility. That's a big thing.
I guess this is the next team that we talk about, right? Is the Kansas City Chiefs, and get into.
Oh shit, we haven't got to them. Yeah, let's get to them real quick, because dang.
You're good. I would say, obviously Rashee Rice, I think, can be a league winner if you look at what he's done on a consistent basis with Patrick Mahomes. In terms of his production that he's had with him when Mahomes has been healthy and he's been healthy is incredible. So, yeah, I mean, I guess all the jail stuff is behind him, right? He's officially done with.
Yeah, he served his 3 months or whatever.
His weekend jail time or whatever that he had. And so that's over and behind him. I'm sure it's a weight off of his shoulder. As somebody who's been in unfortunate situations before, I can tell you it's a sucky feeling, man. And it really puts things into perspective for you really quickly. So I would expect Rashee to have a good year this year as long as he stays healthy. My question will be Patrick Mahomes. I don't know what to expect from Travis Kelce. I think you could see Travis Kelce potentially not being drafted in fantasy football this year and being a waiver wire guy. There's
too much sentiment.
Yeah, but it's just like the fall off has been so hard.
But the whole Chiefs offense, like even going back in, you had Mahomes and Kelce, right? That was the stack for the century for the longest time.
For sure.
And then once that started
every year.
And once that started to fade, there was nobody else that really picked up the torch. Yeah, they had good years, but it was spread around. There was never a true, like, this is the guy that Patrick Mahomes is going to feed. And I feel like Kenneth Walker is now going to be that guy. I really do. I feel like not only is Kenneth Walker going to have a great rushing season, he's going to have a great receiving season as well. I know that he's not the most prolific receiving back out there, but Patrick Mahomes loves to dump the ball off. He takes what's available. He's smart in that aspect, which is why I feel like I don't know how much. And then maybe once defenses start to change, you're going to see a lot of the short 5 to 6 yard Travis Kelce dump routes. And I think you're going to see a lot of the wheel routes and a lot of the backfield play coming out. I don't know about the receivers, to be perfectly honest with you, especially where they're being drafted. I mean, Rashee Rice is being drafted way up there. Let me just double check, see where this is at.
Yeah, I just don't think we'll ever see the
11th overall. ADP of wide receiver. I apologize.
Yeah, the days again of Travis Kelce, catching,
150 yards, 2 touchdowns,
little combo routes, and then sprinting and then throwing the ball behind him to somebody else. Like, I just like those days are completely over. We just don't see that athleticism from him anymore. And I am excited. I mean, it actually got me him in Jason Kelsey's book, so I'm going to read that on the trip that we have in a couple of weeks. But yeah, I don't know. Kansas City's super weird to me. Obviously, they get rid of McDuffie. What's the defense going to be? Spags is always good. He can always figure something out, but eventually it's tough when you keep on just giving away, Shardavius Ward and McDuffie, and you got these guys who you draft and you bring up as the best DBs in the league, and then you get rid of them. And I understand you have to because of contract situations and paying guys and stuff like that, but I don't know. It's just at what point is this over? At what point are we done with it? And
I think
it feels like the passing of the torch is going to Justin Herbert's way now.
With that being said, maybe Noah Gray, it might be. I know he won't be drafted. Noah Gray might be a nice little sneaky. Jeff, I think the biggest question I have for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think that the 27,000 people that are watching around, is how much does Justin Fields play this year?
0.
I'm going to say 2 games minimum. 2 games minimum. Now, this could be 2 different ways. You can take it however you want. You can say that the Chiefs are not in a position where Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to play towards the end of the year. Or it could be something where maybe they go up against a light schedule. Maybe Patrick's knee is a little sore, and they just don't want to play him. They want to rest him for the playoffs. Justin Fields gets 2 games, resurges his entire career, goes off, rides into the sunset. All the Justin Fields trading cards, memorabilia skyrocket. Tyson unloads all of his stuff. and rides off into the Justin Fields sunset. You heard it here first on the Uninformed Fan. This is Justin Fields' Sam Darnold year, where he comes back with a vengeance and shows them if you just could be coached, he's a serviceable quarterback in the NFL.
So Tyson is taking the Chiefs to not win the division this year.
I think
and not make the playoffs.
Toss up. Oh, get out of here. Get out. That's disrespectful.
He said the season's over. Justin Fields comes in, gets a couple games, I do want to say this too. I'm Eddie, I'm faster. If they get Jeremiah Smith, I think that's a great starting point.
Of course.
Mendoza, Jeremiah Smith, Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty. Now all you have to do is just pound offensive and defensive line and make sure your secondary is good. And you're on your way.
Nicely done. I don't know if did I mention Kyle Trask last show?
Yeah, of course.
I did mention him getting signed, actually.
Yeah.
Congratulations, buddy. All my backups are looking good this year. Trubisky, Fields, Trask. Hopefully Trask gets to see a little bit of playing time.
That is true, Chad. I remember I'll never forget that Monday night game was Patriots, and I think it was Bengals, and they got absolutely ran out of the building. And literally the next day, the talking point was just, it's over. The dynasty's over. This is done. This is it. Blah, blah, blah. Fast forward a couple more Super Bowls, gets one in Tampa.
C'est la vie. Well, I appreciate everybody jumping in. All of our new viewers, Eddie, and appreciate you, Chad, as always, coming in with the knowledge. And 3 times behind the scenes. Look a little rough today, but did manage to get back there and run the show from behind the scenes. Shout out to the 3-time. That's going to do it for us today on the Uninformed Fan. We'll be back Wednesday at 12 o'clock noon to Ooh, that's going to be a tough one.
We will not be back Wednesday at 12 o'clock noon. We will be back on Friday at 12 o'clock noon.
Oh, Jeffrey's going to need a day of solace after our big draft.
No, we said we're doing Mondays and Fridays in football season.
You said we were doing 3 days a week.
Nobody said that.
Absolutely did. Anyway, we'll see you back Friday, 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Until then, if you do have to be driving, please, for the love of God, stay out of the left-hand lane.
Stay very blessed and highly favored.